It's a chilly evening in late October, and I'm sitting in the observatory just outside the sleepy town of Whitby, Yorkshire. The sky stretches out like a vast, inky ocean above me, twinkling with stars, but my attention isn't on the usual constellations. No, tonight I'm fixated on something far stranger. A visitor from beyond our solar system, silently weaving its way through the darkness. I call it 3 Atlas. Though the official designation is something less poetic, 3I/Atlas. But to me, it's more than just a name. It's a cosmic enigma. I've spent hours staring through the cold eyepiece of our telescope, wrapped in layers to fend off the nip of the North Sea breeze. Outside, the town's lights blink lazily like fireflies. But here, in this observatory, the real fireworks are happening light years away. 3 Atlas is hurtling through our cosmic neighborhood, and it's behaving in ways that have the scientific community scratching their heads and whispering questions they'd never dare voice a decade ago. Imagine a comet, right? A chunk of ice and rock, dirty snowballs that we're used to seeing lazily melt and sputter as they near the sun. But 3 Atlas is throwing water vapor into space at a staggering rate, about 40 kilograms every second. To put that in perspective, think of 80 full-sized garden hoses blasting water nonstop. For a comet hanging out 3 times farther from the sun than Earth, where it's freezing cold, minus 180 degrees Celsius in the shade. This makes no sense. Water should be frozen solid, locked tight like a stubborn Yorkshire pudding in the freezer. Instead, it's gushing like it's sunbathing in the Caribbean. When the Swift Space Telescope picked up the telltale signs of hydroxyl molecules, broken down water molecules streaming away from the comet's nucleus, I had to double-check the data myself. The readings simply defied every rule in the physics textbook. The official explanation? Tiny grains of ice blasted off by gas jets, sublimating as they drift away. Plausible, yes, but it demands a set of conditions never before seen. The comet's core would have to be hyperactive, powering jets strong enough to hurl chunks of ice into space. And those particles need to be just the right size, not too big, not too small, to vanish before they float too far. It's like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, but with cosmic ice. But here's the kicker. The chemistry is all wrong. The ratio of carbon dioxide to water is 8:1. 8:1. Most comets in our solar system are swimming in water ice, with CO2 tagging along for the ride. This one flips the script completely. That's not just unusual. That's a neon sign screaming, I'm from somewhere else. Somewhere colder, carbon-rich. Maybe orbiting a cooler, dimmer star, a red or orange dwarf far from the warmth we know. And get this, 3 Atlas is ancient. Like really ancient. 7 to 10 billion years old. To put that in context, our sun is only about 4.6 billion years old. This thing was wandering the universe before our solar system even existed. It's like finding an ancient bottle of whiskey in your granddad's attic, still sealed and somehow remarkably fresh. But how does something survive that long, drifting through space, battered by cosmic rays and tiny meteorites, without turning into a lifeless, cracked husk? Yet, here it is, active and vibrant, like a sprightly old gentleman still dancing at the village hall. I might be just a humble astronomer and admittedly a bit of a dreamer, but there's something about 3 Atlas that feels different. The data from the James Webb Space Telescope reveals complex organic molecules swirling in its coma, the glowing cloud of gas and dust surrounding it. Not just simple stuff but long chains of carbon and hydrogen, the kind of molecules that could be the precursors to life itself. It's like the universe is handing us a cosmic recipe book from a kitchen we've never visited. Our colleagues at the University of Manchester managed to snap a faint image using the Mars Express orbiter. Imagine that, a spacecraft meant to study Mars pointing its camera at a speck of light millions of times dimmer than anything it usually tracks. The technical feat alone is staggering, but the tone in Dr. Nick Pearson's voice during the debrief hints at something more. A mix of awe and puzzlement, like finding a message in a bottle washed up on the shores of Whitby. But the language is unlike any you've ever seen. The trajectory, hyperbolic. 3 Atlas isn't bound by our sun's gravity. It's a wanderer, passing through, from somewhere else and destined for somewhere else. And it's been traveling for hundreds of millions of years, if not longer. How does something stay so active after such a journey? Some say it's been frozen solid, barely moving molecularly, preserved like a specimen in liquid nitrogen. But that level of perfect preservation across eons is as unlikely as me finally winning the pub quiz. There are whispers, though. Quiet, speculative conversations over late-night cups of tea, or perhaps something stronger, about whether 3 Atlas is really as old as we think. What if the material is ancient but the object itself is younger? What if it was ejected recently from its home system, flung out by some cosmic catastrophe, a rogue planet, a collision, chaos in an alien solar system? And here's where my thoughts get a bit wild. What if it's not a comet at all? I'm not talking about aliens landing in a spaceship shaped like a teapot. This is serious science, not sci-fi. But the anomalies pile up. The stable rotation, the bizarre chemistry, the unexpected water production. When you put it all together, it's like a cosmic puzzle missing a few crucial pieces. The clock is ticking. Early 2026 is our deadline. After that, 3 Atlas will swing around the sun, fade into the dark, and disappear forever. We have a front row seat to a mystery that might rewrite what we know about the universe, or confirm that nature is just a bit stranger than we imagined. And as I sit here, the cold creeping through my jacket, I can't help but wonder, what secrets is 3 Atlas holding, and will we be clever enough to unravel them before it slips away into the cosmic night? The sun had barely risen over Whitby when I arrived back at the observatory the next morning. The sky still painted in soft pinks and grays, the kind that make you question whether the day will be bright or just stubbornly overcast. I was nursing a lukewarm coffee, half wishing for something stronger. But the work ahead demanded a clear head, and besides, this comet wasn't going to wait for me to have a proper brew. I pulled up the latest data feeds from the James Webb Space Telescope and the ground-based observatories scattered around the globe, from the Canary Islands' rugged peaks to the arid deserts of New Mexico. The numbers were overwhelming, terabytes of raw information streaming in faster than I could process. But buried in those piles of data were clues. Clues about 3 Atlas's composition, its behavior, and its secrets. One thing that caught my eye immediately was the way the comet was releasing dust. Now, dust from comets isn't unusual. Tiny particles kicked free as the ice vaporizes, scattering sunlight and painting those iconic tails across the sky. But 3 Atlas's dust was peculiar. Unlike the usual pattern where you get lots of tiny particles and just a few larger ones, this comet seemed to be pumping out a suspiciously large number of medium-sized grains. It was like someone baking a batch of biscuits and only coming out with perfectly uniform digestives, no crumbs at all. Nature rarely works with such precision. I jotted down some notes. Dust particle size distribution flatter than expected. Possible selective fragmentation or unknown surface process. It was tempting to let my mind wander into fanciful territory. Maybe this comet's got a cosmic baker at work? I scribbled half-jokingly. But jokes aside, this anomaly raised serious questions about what was happening beneath the comet's surface. Speaking of surfaces, the light curve data showed something even more intriguing. Comets tend to spin erratically, tumbling through space as uneven chunks of ice and rock. But 3 Atlas was rotating with unusual stability. Smooth, steady, almost mechanical, as if it were designed to spin that way. Now, I'm all for believing in the wonders of nature, but this was borderline uncanny. I imagined the comet spinning like a well-oiled carousel, its surface glinting in the sunlight, steady and precise. Maybe it was just coincidence, but it felt like an orchestra playing in perfect time when you'd expect a chaotic jam session. Then there was the chemical composition, the elephant in the room. That 8-to-1 ratio of carbon dioxide to water wasn't just a quirk. It was a cosmic fingerprint from an alien kitchen. Most comets we've studied come from the outer reaches of our solar system, soaked in water ice. But 3 Atlas had clearly formed in a very different environment, likely orbiting a cooler, dimmer star, its building blocks forged under conditions alien to us. It was enough to give even the most seasoned astrochemist a headache. What kind of molecular recipe produces such extreme ratios? What kind of star system bakes carbon dioxide as the main ingredient and water as a garnish? And what secrets about planetary formation were hidden in that recipe? While pondering these questions, I glanced up as the door creaked open. Emily stepped inside, her auburn hair catching the morning light, eyes sparkling with that mix of curiosity and caffeine deprivation that only fellow astronomers share. She wore a fitted charcoal sweater over a knee-length skirt paired with sleek leather boots, practical, yet with a subtle edge of elegance that made her stand out even in the drab surroundings of the observatory. A delicate silver necklace caught the light as she moved, a small charm shaped like a star. "Burning the midnight oil again?" I teased, waving a hand at the scattered papers and blinking screens. She smirked, setting down a steaming mug. "More like burning the dawn candles. 3 Atlas waits for no one." I smiled back, feeling the familiar camaraderie that comes from sharing a cosmic mystery with someone who understands the stakes. "Any new leads?" Emily pulled up a spectral graph on her tablet, pointing to subtle dips and peaks. "The JWST caught some odd absorption features in the infrared spectrum last night. They don't match anything in our current molecular catalogs. Could be noise or, she grinned, a spark in her eye, or something we've never seen before. Complex organics from an alien chemistry. If that holds up, it's huge. Huge indeed." The thought sent a shiver down my spine. Not just from the cold draft sneaking under the door, but from the weight of what this could mean. We were staring at a messenger from a distant star system, carrying not just ice and dust, but the very ingredients that might seed life. And here we were, standing on the edge of discovery, trying to decipher its silent message. But with every answer came more questions. What kept 3 Atlas so structurally intact after billions of years? How could it still be so chemically active when it should have long since faded into cosmic dust? And what, if anything, was waiting for us to uncover as perihelion, that closest dance with the sun, approached? As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the observatory floor, I knew one thing for certain. This was no ordinary comet. And the universe wasn't done with its surprises yet. The afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows of the observatory, casting golden streaks across the scattered notebooks and glowing screens. Outside, the wind rustled the last of the autumn leaves along Whitby's cobblestone streets. But inside, the atmosphere was electric, charged with the kind of tension that comes from chasing a mystery bigger than yourself. I was hunched over the computer, running simulations on 3 Atlas's rotation and outgassing patterns. The data suggested the comet's spin was remarkably steady, almost clockwork, far from the tumbling, irregular motion we expect from these ragtag space travelers. It was as if some unseen hand had meticulously balanced it, smoothing out the chaotic wobble that usually defines their dance. Just then, Emily appeared by my side, holding a printout of the latest spectral analysis from the Green Bank telescope in West Virginia. She handed it over with a sly grin. "You'll want to see this. We've got more anomalies." I squinted at the graph. There it was, a faint but distinct dip in the radio spectrum, a whisper that defied easy explanation. The signal wasn't strong enough to call it a beacon, but it was unlike any natural emission we'd catalogued before. "Is it just interference?" I asked. "Could be," Emily replied, folding her arms. "But it's persistent. Same frequency, same pattern over several nights. Makes you wonder." I chuckled, trying to shake off the mix of excitement and unease. Maybe 3 Atlas just wants to say hello in its own way. "Hey Earthlings. I come bearing cosmic cookies." She rolled her eyes, but there was a playful glint in them, more like a very polite cosmic ghost. Barely there, but impossible to ignore. We both knew the scientific caution required here. Extraordinary claims demand ironclad evidence, and a faint radio signal caught in the noise could easily be a red herring. But in moments like these, when the universe seemed to be teasing us, it was impossible not to let the imagination wander. Later, as twilight settled over Whitby, I stepped outside the observatory for a breath of fresh air. The town's ancient abbey loomed against the darkening sky, its silhouette a reminder of centuries of human curiosity and wonder. I looked up, tracing the path where 3 Atlas was silently blazing through space, a speck of ice and mystery hurtling through the cosmic night. Back inside, Emily was already poring over the latest images from the Mars Express orbiter. The photos were grainy, the comet barely more than a faint smudge, but they revealed subtle hints of structure. A slight elongation here, a shadowed groove there. Nothing definitive, but enough to fuel the questions. "How's the shape look?" I asked, pulling up a chair. "Odd," she said softly. "No sharp edges, but not perfectly round either. The light curve suggests something between 2 and 6 kilometers across, but that's a huge margin. Could be elongated or maybe irregular. Or something else entirely." I leaned back, rubbing my chin. "Something else." The words hung in the air, charged with possibility. Emily glanced up, her eyes reflecting the glow of the monitors. The more we learn, the less this feels like a typical comet. The stable spin, the weird chemistry, the subtle radio signal, the dust particle pattern. It's like nature's throwing us a puzzle with some pieces missing. Or maybe the pieces aren't missing, I mused. Maybe they're arranged differently than we expect. She smiled, a hint of mischief in her voice. "Careful, or you'll have us chasing cosmic conspiracy theories next." I laughed. "Hey, if this comet starts sending us Morse code, I'm all ears." But beneath the banter, an unspoken tension lingered. We were approaching a moment of reckoning, perihelion, when 3 Atlas would swing closest to the sun, bathing in its warmth and revealing secrets hidden in the cold darkness. Would it behave like a normal comet then? Or would it surprise us again, defying expectations and rewriting the rules? As the night deepened, I found myself staring once more at the endless sky, wondering not just about this mysterious visitor, but about humanity's place in the vast cosmic dance. 3 Atlas was a messenger, a relic from a distant time and place. And as the days ticked down to perihelion, I couldn't shake the feeling that something profound was about to unfold. Something that would change the way we see the universe, and maybe even ourselves. The following evening, the observatory was bathed in the soft glow of computer screens and the faint hum of cooling fans. Outside, the wind had picked up, rattling the old window panes like a restless spirit eager to hear what secrets we might uncover. I settled into my chair, the leather creaking beneath me, and pulled up the latest data from the Canary Islands Observatory. A jewel perched high above the Atlantic, where the air is thin and the stars shine with rare clarity. Emily was already there, her fingers dancing over the keyboard, eyes fixed on a series of spectroscopic graphs. She wore a deep green blouse that caught the light just enough to hint at curves beneath, paired with dark jeans and ankle boots. A look that was practical for late nights but carried a quiet confidence. A silver bracelet jingled softly as she moved, an unassuming piece that somehow added a touch of elegance to her focused intensity. "Look at this," she said, swiveling her monitor toward me. "The organic molecules in the coma aren't evenly distributed. Some regions have higher concentrations, almost like they're being released in pulses or from specific spots." I leaned in, intrigued. The idea that such complexity could exist on a comet orbiting 3 times further from the sun than Earth was baffling. "You mean like the comet is breathing?" Emily smiled, a hint of that playful spark returning. "Exactly. But instead of air, it's exhaling carbon chains and hydrocarbons. It's like a living organism." I shook my head, half in disbelief, half in awe. "Or an unimaginably complex machine." She raised an eyebrow. "Careful with the sci-fi talk, Mark." I grinned. "Hey, if this thing's been cruising the galaxy for 10 billion years, maybe it's picked up a few tricks." We both knew the risks of letting our imaginations run wild. But when the data kept throwing curveballs, it was hard not to entertain the wildest possibilities. The distribution patterns resembled a choreography, almost strategic, as if the comet was selectively releasing materials, not just passively shedding ice like a melting snowball. "Any ideas on what could cause that?" I asked, fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Could be layering beneath the surface," Emily suggested. "Maybe pockets of different ices trapped in various strata, releasing at different rates as the comet warms. But the uniformity across the visible surface contradicts that. No strong jets, no active regions we can pinpoint." I rubbed my chin. which means it's either an incredibly uniform process or something else. She caught my eye, a silent challenge passing between us. We were both thinking the same thing, but neither wanted to say it aloud. Suddenly, the monitors flickered as new data streamed in from the James Webb Space Telescope's infrared spectrometer. The graphs revealed a subtle but unmistakable pattern. Absorption features that didn't match any known molecules cataloged in our solar system. It was like stumbling upon a secret language written in starlight. "That's unexpected," I muttered, heart pounding a little faster. If those signatures hold up, it could mean we're seeing chemistry from another world. Something new. Emily nodded slowly, her fingers trembling just slightly as she zoomed in on the spectral lines. It's like 3 Atlas is whispering secrets from a distant kitchen. One that's been cooking up molecules we've never tasted before. The room fell silent, save for the soft tapping of keys and the occasional creak from the ancient building. Outside, the wind howled a little louder, as if urging us to listen harder. Then came the alert, an incoming transmission from the Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex in California. Radar observations were scheduled to begin soon, aiming to pierce the comet's dusty veil and reveal its hidden structure. The possibility of glimpsing the nucleus's shape, size, and rotation in unprecedented detail sent a thrill through the team. Emily glanced at me, eyes shining with a mix of excitement and exhaustion. "This is it. The moment we've been building toward. If there's anything unusual lurking beneath the surface, radar might just show it." I nodded, feeling a surge of anticipation. "And if it does, well, I hope it likes being the center of attention, because the whole world will be watching." As the night deepened, Whitby's ancient streets grew quiet, but inside the observatory, a new chapter in the story of 3 Atlas was unfolding. We were on the edge of discovery, poised between the known and the unknowable, chasing a visitor from the stars that refused to play by the rules. And somewhere out there, spinning steadily through the cold dark, 3 Atlas continued its silent journey, holding its secrets close, waiting for us to catch up. The radar signals from Goldstone began to pulse through the observatory's receivers just past midnight, their steady rhythm filling the room like the heartbeat of some great cosmic beast. I stood beside Emily, both of us tense with anticipation, eyes glued to the screens as the raw data started to materialize into something tangible. A shape, a silhouette, a ghostly outline emerging from the shadows of space. The initial images were grainy, blurred by distance and interference, but even in their fuzziness, they told a story. 3 Atlas wasn't a perfect sphere, nor was it wildly irregular like most comets we'd seen. Instead, it appeared elongated, with subtle ridges and depressions hinting at a complex surface. The rotation period locked in at just under 12 hours, matching the steady mechanical spin we'd suspected. Emily let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "It's beautiful in a strange way, not chaotic, not ragged, like it was sculpted rather than blasted together." I nodded slowly, feeling the weight of her words. Almost like deliberate design. We both laughed nervously, knowing full well that such a thought was taboo among scientists. Yet, with each anomaly piling up, the stable spin, the extreme carbon dioxide levels, the unusual dust distribution, it was hard not to wonder. As the radar continued its sweep, the data revealed something even more startling. The surface's reflectivity was unusually uniform. Most comets sport patchy terrains, with dark, dusty regions interspersed with brighter ice patches. But 3 Atlas's surface seemed consistently reflective, almost polished. It was as if it had been buffed smooth over billions of years or perhaps constructed with purpose. "Mark," Emily whispered, "this doesn't look like any comet we've ever seen." I swallowed hard. "No, it doesn't." Just then, an alert popped up on my console. A sudden spike in water vapor emission, detected by the Atacama Large Millimeter/Submillimeter Array in Chile. The rate jumped to nearly double what we'd been measuring. An unexpected surge given 3 Atlas's distance from the sun. "Is it responding to something?" I asked, eyes wide. Emily bit her lip. "Could be. Maybe perihelion is stirring it earlier than predicted. Or maybe it's waking up," I finished for her. The thought sent a shiver down my spine, mixing excitement with a creeping unease. The hours blurred as we monitored the comet's behavior, watching as it seemed to flex and breathe, releasing bursts of gas and dust with an intensity that defied our models. The steady spin held firm, unbroken by the outbursts, as if 3 Atlas was perfectly balanced, engineered, even, to withstand such stresses. Outside, the wind had calmed, and the first pale hints of dawn crept over Whitby's horizon. The town stirred to life, unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding above. Emily stretched, rubbing her eyes. You think anyone else out there knows this? That we're staring at something extraordinary? I shook my head, a wry smile tugging at my lips. If they do, they're keeping it quiet. For now, it's just us and 3 Atlas. We exchanged a look, equal parts wonder and apprehension. The comet was no longer just a visitor from afar. It was a puzzle demanding answers, challenging everything we thought we knew. And as the sun rose, bathing the observatory in warm light, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever 3 Atlas was preparing to reveal next, it would change the course of human history forever. But just as the data settled and the night's frenzy gave way to calm, an unexpected alert flashed across my screen. A subtle, rhythmic signal buried deep within the comet's emissions. Patterned, regular, almost like a heartbeat. I stared, breath caught in my throat. Emily, I think it's trying to tell us something. The rhythmic signal pulsed steadily on my screen, a sequence of faint blips weaving through the cosmic noise like a secret heartbeat hidden inside the comet's breath. I leaned forward, eyes narrowing, fingers trembling as I adjusted the filters and zoomed in on the pattern. It wasn't random. Couldn't be. There was a rhythm, a cadence, something deliberate. Emily's face was pale but focused, her eyes locked onto the readout beside me. Are you sure this isn't just interference? Some artifact from the instruments? I shook my head slowly. I've seen interference before. This is different. It's too regular, too precise. Like Morse code whispered across the void. The room fell silent except for the soft hum of computers and the occasional crackle from the radio receivers. Outside, the night deepened, the stars glittering cold and distant. For a moment, it felt as if the entire universe was holding its breath. I tapped a few keys, running the signal through pattern recognition software. The results were inconclusive, no clear message, no obvious encoding, but the repetition was undeniable. Something was there, embedded in the comet's emissions, waiting for us to notice. Emily swallowed hard. If this is real, and I know it sounds crazy, but what if 3 Atlas isn't just a comet? What if it's a message in itself? A probe designed to look natural, to blend in, but carrying information. I laughed nervously, the sound hollow in the quiet room. You're suggesting an interstellar ice cream van disguised as a comet? She smirked, then sobered. Hey, stranger things have happened. Remember Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor? Some scientists thought it might be an alien light sail. The comparison sent a chill down my spine. That cigar-shaped object had vanished before we could unravel its mysteries, leaving behind whispers and questions. 3 Atlas was different. We had time, data, and now this. Suddenly, the observatory's phone rang, cutting through the tension like a lightning bolt. Emily answered quickly, her voice tight. Yes. Understood. Thank you. She hung up and turned to me, eyes wide. That was the team at Hubble. They've spotted something unusual near the comet's surface. An unexpected flash of light. Transient, but bright. My mind raced. A flare? Outburst? Or something else entirely? We need to focus all available instruments, I said, urgency creeping into my voice. If this is a communication attempt, or some form of activity, we can't miss it. Emily nodded, already typing commands to coordinate observations across global networks. The race was on. As the hours ticked by, telescopes from Arizona to Australia trained their lenses on 3 Atlas, capturing every flicker, every whisper of light and radio waves. The data streamed in, a flood of signals and images that both answered questions and deepened the mystery. The transient flash remained unexplained, too brief for natural outgassing, too irregular for known phenomena. And the rhythmic signal persisted, subtle but insistent, like a pulse syncing with the comet's smooth rotation. I stepped back from the monitors, heart pounding. The line between science and speculation blurred. Had we stumbled onto something truly extraordinary? Or were we victims of wishful thinking, seeing patterns where none existed? One thing was certain: 3 Atlas was no ordinary comet. As dawn crept over Whitby, painting the sky in soft gold, I glanced at Emily. Whatever this is, we're on the edge of discovery, or something far stranger. She smiled, exhaustion and exhilaration mingling in her gaze. Well, if it's a cosmic ice cream van, I hope it's got vanilla. And somewhere out there, spinning steadily through the void, 3 Atlas continued its ancient journey. Silent, enigmatic, and more alive than we ever imagined. The days that followed felt like being caught in a cosmic storm. Data pouring in from every corner of the globe, each new observation layering complexity onto an already baffling enigma. The rhythmic signal persisted, faint but unmistakable, weaving through the comet's emissions like a ghostly heartbeat that refused to be silenced. I found myself pacing the observatory's narrow corridors late into the night, mind racing with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. Emily and I sat side by side at the control panel, the glow of the monitors painting our faces in shades of blue and green. She wore a sleek black jacket over a soft gray top that hugged her form just so, paired with jeans and scuffed sneakers. A perfect blend of comfort and determination. Her hair was pulled back loosely, strands escaping as she focused intently on the spectral data. "Have you noticed the coma's structure?" she asked quietly, pointing to the swirling patterns on the screen. "The filaments and streamers aren't behaving like any comet we've modeled. They're persistent, holding shape longer than they should, almost like they're controlled." I nodded, rubbing my chin. It's as if the comet's breathing, but with control, maintaining a rhythm, a pattern. She looked up, eyes searching mine. What if that rhythmic signal isn't just a message but a mechanism? Something regulating the outgassing, the dust release. The idea sent a thrill through me. It was wild, bordering on science fiction, but the data refused to be ignored. Here we were, staring at an interstellar visitor that spun like a clock, released gases and dust in patterned pulses, and carried an ancient chemical signature unlike anything from our solar system. I shook my head with a wry smile. If this is true, 3 Atlas might be the most polite and mysterious visitor in history. It's sending us a coded hello, then playing hard to get. Emily laughed softly, the sound a welcome break from the tension. As long as it doesn't start sending us invoices for parking space in the solar system. Our banter masked the undercurrent of unease. We were pushing the boundaries of knowledge, chasing a shadow that might slip through our fingers at any moment. Suddenly, the room's speakers crackled with an incoming transmission from the European Space Agency's new X-band radar array. Preliminary analyses hinted at subtle changes in the comet's rotation rate, tiny accelerations and decelerations inconsistent with natural outgassing effects. I frowned. That's impossible. Comets don't adjust their spin like that without external forces. Emily's eyes widened. Unless it's not natural. A shiver ran down my spine. Not from the chill of the night, but from the gravity of what we might be facing. The possibility that 3 Atlas was more than a comet was no longer a fringe idea whispered in corners. It was a question demanding answers. As the observatory's clock ticked closer to midnight, a sudden burst of activity lit up the monitors. A spike in infrared emissions, an outburst of organic molecules streaming from the nucleus. The timing synchronized perfectly with the rhythmic signal, as if the comet was responding to its own heartbeat. I turned to Emily, voice barely a whisper. "It's alive. Or at least it's acting like it." She nodded, her expression a mix of wonder and apprehension. Whatever 3 Atlas is, it's challenging everything we thought we knew about the universe. Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly, indifferent to our discoveries. But inside, the quiet hum of machines and the flicker of screens told a different story. A story of a visitor from the stars, ancient and enigmatic, reaching out across the void in a language we are just beginning to understand. And as the countdown to perihelion tightened, the sense of anticipation was electric. Whatever secrets 3 Atlas held, they were on the verge of being unveiled. But the greatest revelation, the one that would shake the foundations of science and belief, was still waiting in the shadows, hidden beneath layers of ice, dust, and cosmic mystery. The night air in Whitby had turned crisp, the kind that bites your skin and makes you pull your jacket tighter. But inside the observatory, the atmosphere was anything but cold. The hum of computers and the steady glow of monitors filled the space, alive with data streams and spectral graphs that told a story both fascinating and unnerving. I sat back in my chair, eyes fixed on the latest infrared images from the James Webb Space Telescope. 3 Atlas's coma, the glowing halo of gas and dust around its nucleus, revealed intricate filaments and swirling patterns that seemed almost too ordered to be natural. The organic molecules we detected earlier were concentrated in distinct regions, pulsing in time with that mysterious rhythmic signal. Emily stepped over, her dark curls tumbling over a tailored coat that contrasted sharply with the worn jeans and boots she favored during long nights of observation. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, hesitating before she spoke. "Mark, have you seen this? The spectral signatures show sudden shifts, complex organics fluctuating in concentration, almost like the comet is breathing new chemicals in pulses." I nodded, feeling the weight of those words. It's as if the comet is communicating, not just drifting and decaying like we expected. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that blends excitement with disbelief. A cosmic Morse code. But what's the message? Our banter was cut short by a ping from the control console, alerts from multiple observatories reporting subtle changes in the comet's trajectory. The hyperbolic path was confirmed, but the speed and angle showed tiny deviations that defied gravitational calculations. Natural forces alone couldn't explain it. Adjustments in velocity? I muttered, heart pounding. That's unprecedented. Emily's eyes locked onto mine, her voice barely above a whisper. Unless 3 Atlas has some kind of propulsion, something artificial. The room seemed to close in, the walls carrying the weight of that possibility. We'd crossed from the realm of natural science into something far more profound, far more unsettling. Suddenly, the radar images from Goldstone updated, revealing surface features that shimmered oddly under the scanning beams. Geometric patterns, edges too regular to be random. A circle here, a straight line there, faint but unmistakable. "It can't be," I said, disbelief coloring my tone. "Comets don't have geometric features." Emily shook her head slowly. "Unless this isn't just a comet. What if it's a probe? A relic from an ancient civilization, disguised as a comet to wander the galaxy unnoticed." The thought was staggering. Science fiction made flesh. I pictured a cosmic icebreaker, silently spinning through space for billions of years, gathering data, waiting or maybe watching. Our conversation was interrupted by a sudden spike in radio emissions, a burst of signals that seemed too structured, too patterned to be natural. The rhythmic heartbeat intensified, becoming a complex melody of frequencies dancing through the speakers. Emily's fingers flew over the keyboard, decoding, analyzing. "It's a signal, but not one we can easily decipher. It's layered, complex, like a language woven into the comet's very essence." I glanced at the clock. Perihelion was approaching fast, the moment when 3 Atlas would be closest to the sun, its secrets most vulnerable to revelation. "Whatever happens next," I said, voice steady despite the whirlwind inside, "we need to be ready. This could change everything." Emily nodded, eyes bright with determination. "We're not just observers anymore. We're part of the story." Outside, the stars wheeled silently overhead, indifferent to the human drama unfolding beneath them. But for us, for all of humanity, the cosmic visitor was no longer a distant mystery. It was a messenger, a puzzle, a challenge, and the countdown to truth had begun. The night before perihelion arrived like a hush over Whitby, the town's ancient streets cloaked in mist and silence. Inside the observatory, however, The air crackled with tension and anticipation. We were perched on the edge of a cosmic revelation, the culmination of months of relentless observation and speculation. Emily and I sat side by side, eyes fixed on the live feeds from Hubble, James Webb, and ground-based telescopes spanning the globe. The images were sharper now, the comet's nucleus emerging from the haze with more clarity, a roughly oblong shape, its surface mottled yet surprisingly uniform in reflectivity. Shadows hinted at subtle, almost geometric depressions that defied natural erosion patterns. The rhythmic signal pulsed steadily in the background, a haunting cadence that had become both a beacon and a mystery. Our analysis suggested it was tied to the comet's rotation, a deliberate pattern impossible to dismiss as coincidence. Suddenly, the room's speakers crackled with a burst of radio waves, an unmistakable transmission that stood apart from the usual cosmic static. The signal was complex, layered with harmonics and modulations that hinted at intelligence. Emily's voice barely rose above a whisper. "It's a language, or at least a code." We scrambled to record and analyze, hearts pounding as we realized the enormity of what we were witnessing. This was no longer just an interstellar visitor. It was a cosmic envoy, a relic of an ancient civilization, silently traversing the galaxy for billions of years. As the comet edged closer to the sun, its activity intensified. Jets of gas and dust erupted rhythmically, synchronized with the signal, as if the comet itself was alive, breathing, communicating, perhaps even aware of our gaze. The implications were staggering. We were no longer alone in the universe. Somewhere, long ago, intelligence had crafted this emissary, sending it across the stars to reach out or to observe. And yet, as the night deepened, a chilling thought settled over me. If 3 Atlas was a probe, what was its purpose? Was it a scout, a messenger, or something more ominous? Had it been watching us all along, waiting for the right moment? The final hours before perihelion felt surreal, a blend of exhilaration and dread. We were about to witness a cosmic event that would redefine humanity's place in the cosmos. As dawn approached, Emily turned to me, her eyes reflecting both hope and uncertainty. "Whatever happens next, we're witnessing history." I nodded, the weight of those words sinking in. "And whatever the truth is, it's bigger than any of us imagined." Outside, the first light of day crept over the horizon, illuminating the silent comet as it sped toward the sun, carrying secrets older than time itself, and a message that humanity was only just beginning to understand. Perihelion arrived like the crescendo of a symphony billions of years in the making. As 3 Atlas drew nearest to the sun, the observatory was alive with activity. Scientists from around the world glued to their instruments, data streaming in torrents, every telescope trained on this enigmatic traveler. The comet's brightness surged, its coma glowing with unprecedented intensity. Jets of gas and dust erupted in rhythmic pulses, synchronized perfectly with the persistent signal that had haunted our observations. The patterns were too precise, too purposeful to be mere natural phenomena. Emily stood beside me, her usually composed demeanor softened by awe. She wore a flowing dark blouse that caught the light with every subtle movement, paired with a delicate silver chain resting just above her collarbone, a quiet reminder of the fragile beauty in the midst of cosmic chaos. Suddenly, the radio receivers picked up a burst of electromagnetic waves, an unmistakable sequence of pulses unlike anything recorded before. The signal was complex, layered, and unmistakably intentional. It was the long-awaited message, encoded in the very heartbeat of 3 Atlas. As we decoded the transmission, fragments of a pattern emerged, mathematical sequences, prime numbers, and geometric constructs woven into a tapestry of information. It was a cosmic handshake, a universal language reaching across time and space. The implications were staggering. We were no longer just observers. We had become part of a dialogue with an intelligence far beyond our own. 3 Atlas was a messenger, a relic of an ancient civilization, carrying knowledge and questions from the depths of the cosmos. But just as the revelation settled over us, the comet's activity shifted abruptly. The rhythmic pulses faltered, jets of gas stuttered, and the signal began to fade, like a candle flickering in the vast darkness. and then silence. The comet had passed perihelion and was beginning its slow retreat into the abyss, its secrets once again shrouded in mystery. As the room fell quiet, Emily turned to me, eyes shimmering with a mixture of triumph and melancholy. "We've glimpsed something extraordinary, but the story isn't over." I nodded, heart full yet restless. 3 Atlas came to us with a message, but it left us with questions. Questions that will keep humanity searching for years to come. Outside, the dawn broke over Whitby, bathing the world in pale light. Somewhere in the endless reaches of space, 3 Atlas continued its ancient journey, silent, enigmatic, and forever a testament to the boundless mysteries of the universe. And as we watched it fade into the cosmic dark, one thought lingered. What if, somewhere out there, other messengers are still traveling, waiting to be found, waiting to tell their stories? The clock is ticking, and the universe is listening,